William Crawley. Remember, if you need a warm-up for your funeral, William is your man. I feel a bit of a charlatan here, ladies and gentlemen, a comedian in here. I've actually done a gig in Stormont before, and I thought, this is fantastic. I'm a comedian, the first ever comedian to play Stormont, and I thought, oh no, hang on a minute, there's 108 of them. But I'm not going to slag off our politicians because we don't have enough time. And we're here to talk about, imagine, well, just very quickly, the only reason I'm really here is because I was told I would get to warm up Gary Lightbody. And my very good showbiz friend. So I'm going to pretend that because now there's a fella speaking after me, great, he's fantastic, he's a brilliant speaker, so late for him. But seriously, pretend, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm about to introduce Guy Lightbody, because I'm going to edit this and give it to my son and say, ladies and gentlemen, my very good showbiz friend, give it up for Mr. Guy Lightbody! We'll edit that. Thank you very much. So, imagine Northern Ireland, they said that was the challenge. Imagine a new Northern Ireland, a different Northern Ireland. That was the challenge, they said. And I immediately set my brain to work, and I thought, imagine a Northern Ireland football team that could score a goal. Imagine a Northern Ireland football team that could beat another country. Any country. The Faroe Islands would do. To be honest, the way we're playing, we'd be lucky to beat the Galapagos Islands. And they're uninhabited. Or what about this? Imagine a Northern Ireland football team that everybody in Northern Ireland supported. Now, you've gone too far there, Tim, already. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we have a peace process, but let's be honest, it's an imperfect peace process. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. We had the whole flags issue, and to be honest, we were doing well. Our image of Northern Ireland was improving around the world, and then we had the flags, and now we're back to square one. Now we're the only part of the UK that makes Afghan refugees go, no, honestly, I'm all right where I am. Appreciate the offer, but thanks very much. And that's not right, ladies and gentlemen, because I want to say to the TED people watching across the world, come to Northern Ireland. It's a brilliant country. It's a brilliant place. There are a few things you need to know about us. We're a bit strange in this country. We're a bit cynical. We're a bit sarcastic. We're hard to please. Seriously, you could take the population of Northern Ireland to utopia, and we would go, I thought about better than this, to be honest with you. But we have a good sense of humor, and that's something to be celebrated. My late father always said, God bless him, that we sometimes over-exaggerated. My late father said the problem with Northern Ireland was that people in this country take themselves far too seriously, and we need to have a sense of our own ridiculousness. And he's absolutely right. We take ourselves far too seriously. He was a very wise man, my father. He once said, his famous saying was that happy the man whose wife and cigarette lighter are both working. I'm giving that one to Jocelyn. So I'm going to tell you a joke. Now, don't panic. It's not my joke, so it could be funny. It was actually told to me by a Church of Ireland minister, so it is terrible. But it kind of typifies for me Northern Ireland. Quick story. A Northern Ireland man is shipwrecked, and he's marooned on a desert island. And he has to live on a desert island for 25 years. Things are bad. First couple of weeks, he realizes the DLA checks aren't going to arrive. So what does he do? He builds himself a hut, and the hut isn't good enough. So then he builds himself a house, not just a house, a brilliant house, a 3-bedroom semi with an extension. Then he decides he wants a double garage. No car, he builds himself a double garage. He gets hungry, he decides to build himself a factory to make potato, cheese, and onion crisps. Then he builds himself a church. Then he builds another church. And eventually, after 25 years, a passing ship doesn't spot him, but the waft of potato, cheese, and onion catches their noses. And they come and they rescue this man from his island and say, congratulations, you rescued it. And they were amazed at the beautiful buildings that he made. He'd made a house, and he'd made a factory, and he'd made 2 churches. And they said, why did you build 2 churches? And he said, well, that's my church there. That's where I worship there. And they said, what about the other one? They said, oh, that one. That's the church I don't go to. And that's how we define ourselves in this society, ladies and gentlemen. We still define ourselves by what we're not, by our separatism. Imagine this. Imagine if Martin McGuinness and Peter Robinson had gone to the same school. Do you think Northern Ireland would be the same? Okay, there's only 2 years in difference between them. Obviously, one of them would either have to go to Derry or leave Derry, which would be a bind for one of them, I'm sure. But imagine if that had happened, that they'd gone to school together. But no, it doesn't happen in this country. Why not? Because we take our 4-year-olds and we say, are you enjoying playgroup with Billy there? We'll say goodbye to him because you're not going to see him for another 14 years. 14 years, and we separate our kids, and we go, and then we're surprised that we are a sectarian society. I went to a very good Catholic school. I'm very proud of my Catholic education. There were a couple of things missing, ladies and gentlemen. Girls and Protestants. Both of whom are very important. Girls especially so, Protestants, to be honest, I can take or leave. But we need to do that. We need to integrate our schools. We teach our teachers separately. Oh, if somebody wants to be a teacher in this country, say, I want to study French. You go, fine. You want to study Protestant French or Catholic French? Is there Catholic Mass and Protestant English? Is there Catholic history and Protestant? Okay, that's a bad example. We do. We bus children. Our schools are closing in the countryside because of the lack of pupils. And what do? We bus children to their same denomination schools. Why? Because 50 years ago in America, what do? They bussed people in to desegregate schooling. Here in Northern Ireland, we bus them away to maintain segregation. What a country, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's be fair now. There are, of course, all these Catholic schools and state schools. They do try mutual understanding and tolerance. There's a bit of that. I'm all for that. We build a brick wall, and then we put a little hole in it and say, look at the prods over there. And what do? We have days out where the prods and the TEDx get to meet each other, maybe at a sports day or something nice like that. And the Protestants and the Catholics, they all stand beside each other, and they all look a bit awkward, you know, like it's a family reunion in the Milliband house. But we preach tolerance. We preach tolerance to each other, and I think that's fine. That is absolutely fine. But tell you this, preaching tolerance in a segregated school is as much use as preaching celibacy in a brothel. So I say unite our... If I'd gone to an integrated school, ladies and gentlemen, I could have met Gary Lightbodies. Well, all right, I would have needed a time machine. But I could have been a drummer in Snow Patrol. If I'd gone to an integrated school, I could have become a unionist. All right, let's not get hysterical. But I could have, ladies and gentlemen, I have a 14-year-old son. I'm a hypocrite. We're all hypocrites in this country. My 14-year-old son goes to a Catholic school. Why? Because of location and various reasons, and because his mates went there. We need integrated education. Because integrated education will be not the magic bullet, but it will form a better society. Let me give you an image of, imagine what Northern Ireland will be like 20 years from now if we don't have integrated education. I'll tell you what it'll be like. It will be the bloody same. And do you know what? It will be a society slightly on the edge. A society, as the flags protests have shown, that we do not understand each other. We grotesquely do not understand each other. We need integration. Because if we don't, 20 years from now, we'll still be a society that is on the brink and that could fall apart over a flag, a march, or because the police made the wrong decision. So, please, there is one downside to integrated education, and I have to admit it. If there was integrated education, we became a fully integrated society. Comedians, like me, wouldn't be able to get half an hour of material about the difference between prods and TEDx. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm prepared to take the risk. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking. Thank you.